Okay, welcome to another episode of or another webinar of AWS Primer. Thank you, Jyoti, once again. And today you are going to be covering load balancer and a little bit of auto scaling, is what I understand.
Yeah, that's right.
This series is picking up heat as people are starting to follow. So the whole pattern of combining these theory sessions followed by hands-on lab exercises is highly beneficial, and especially for novices like me who didn't know anything at all. So this is a big ray of hope. Okay, and now I know a lot of stuff because of this. I'm sure the other audience is also able to catch up. There is a lot of background noise at my end, so you will have to bear with me. So I will go on mute as quickly as possible. Handing over to you, Jyoti.
Okay, thank you, Brijesh. So hi all, this is our fourth topic on elastic load balancing. Apologies, this time I couldn't prepare PPT, so I've quickly created this document. So I was little occupied with my office work this week. Yeah, so I had planned to cover two topics, but I'll be able to cover just one of them. And there is a variant for the one topic which I am covering, which is combining your auto scaling with the load balancer, right? So till now, what we have done is we have played with load balancer individually, as in we used to create a load balancer and then we used to create a target group. To those target group, we used to attach a EC2 instance, right? But now we are not going to attach a EC2 instance. Rather, we'll associate our load balancer with the auto scaling group. And now, based on the policies which we have applied on to the auto scaling, you will get the instances. Okay. So for user won't be impacted. Okay, for user, what are we going to do? We are always going to access the DNS of a load balancer, right? Now it's up to load balancer and auto scaling to ensure that there are enough EC2 instances and people are able to access the application, right? So I'll cover two part of this. One is auto scaling with load balancing using AMI, right? So what we'll do, we'll create a EC2 instance and then we'll create a I'm sorry, image. Okay, so now what we are trying to do is, whenever there is a new instance which is getting launched, we are telling what kind of instance it should be. And second, it won't be with the AMI. We are not going to associate AMI. We'll just tell the configuration of the machine which we want. Okay, so sorry guys. So I'll recommend that you all can start practicing along with me. So let me just give you a overview what exactly we'll do. Okay, so we'll have our default VPC in a region. Okay, so you can pick any region you want. I'll be picking Mumbai, and under that we'll have 3 availability zone, right? Every region has a availability zone. We have created availability zone to ensure high availability and to ensure, okay, in case there is any disaster situation in one AZ, you can quickly move to another AZ and customers are not impacted, right? So what we'll do, we'll have a default VPC. Under that, there will be 3 availability zone. Okay, and we are not going to create any new subnet. We'll again go for default public subnet, right? So why public subnet? Because we are going to access our application via internet. Now on after that, we'll be creating ELB, which is your elastic load balancer. It would be part of 2 AZs, and you know why we are making your elastic load balancer part of multiple availability zone, again to ensure high availability. Okay, and now your elastic load balancer, it would be communicating with your auto scaling group to create those EC2 instances, right? Yeah, so this is the first lab. Okay, so let's get started. Let me know if you guys able to see my browser, or should I share again? Okay, yeah. So what are the steps we have to do? Are you able to see now, Gagan? Okay, So the steps which we have to do is simple. There are 3 parts to this exercise. First is will create EC2 instance. Yeah. The second, in the same step, we have to create a AMI, right? We'll enable port 80. Why port 80? Because we are working with application load balancer here. Then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and create a load balancer, right? And create a target group. But this time we won't associate any EC2 instance with that target group. That's the second part of this exercise. And third is auto scaling group. So now when we'll be creating auto scaling group, under launch configuration, we'll select same AMI which we had created in the first step, right? Also what we'll do, we'll say that, see, every we need to apply firewalls at the all level, right? So we want that the instances which are getting created by your auto scaling group, it is accessed only by ELB, right? So for that, we'll do certain configuration in the security group of auto scaling group. While so while working on it, I'll tell you that step. Okay, so it's simple. You'll have a user, right? User, they'll give you a name, right? Say google.com, which would be mapped to a DNS of your ELB. And now ELB would uh, communicate with ASG, will check the health of the EC2 instance and route the traffic accordingly, right? So overall is we are not going to create EC2 instance. The EC2 instance would be created by your auto scaling group, right? And just a little refresher, how does auto scaling group works? So it creates the instances, it either scales in or scales out, which means either it increases the instances based on the demand, or it terminates the instances based on the less traffic, right? And there are various ways. Either you can set I'm sorry guys, either you can set that if the number of requests is, if it goes beyond say 100, I want to have one EC2 instance. Or if the CPU utilization is going beyond certain limit, I want to have another EC2 instance. So there are various scaling policies, right? So here we'll go for a simple, like manually I'll be triggering the scaling part, okay, just to showcase how ELB and ASG are working in combination. And this is a production setup, like this is how your applications are deployed, right? And this is how there would be very rare situation where ELB would be used independently, right? So we use combination of ELB and ASG, and hence the kind of rule you said, kind of the firewall you open, right? That is really important. Okay, so let's get started. Yeah, Gagan, this in the second example, we'll take the MI which is available in the Amazon itself. But in the first example, we'll create our own AMI. Okay. And what is so special about that AMI? Simple, we are going to have our HTTP server installed and on that EC2 instance, and we'll have some basic HTML page which we want to. So it's like you are, consider this way, you are setting up your web server and the HTML content. Okay. And now you'll go ahead and create the image of that EC2 instance. And now in future, whenever there would be auto scaling, you'll have instances which would have these two things, which is like the basic server installation and the index.html setup already for you. Okay. Okay, guys. So yeah, so let's create our first instance, right? So launch instance. Select. This is simple T2 micro. Yeah. So since we are selecting our default VPC, so let it be. Yeah, we can do this, but ultimately we are going to dominate this EC2 instance. Yeah. So this is the main step, the user data part, wherein we'll do those installation, right? So let me share the command with you all in the chat. You have to make one small change, so follow along, right? So you can copy paste that in your user data. Yeah. So here what we need to do is, see, we are installing the HTTPD server, right? And we'll go ahead and write chconfig HTTPD on. What does that mean? The moment your machine would be up, your will have our instance, your Apache server, sorry, it would be up and running for you, right? You don't have to manually turn on the server, right? Tag is not required. It's okay. Yeah. So here we'll go ahead and create a security group. My SG demo 1. And what we need to do, we need to open port 80. Remember, because application load balancer works on port 80 and 443, right? For now, just keep it anywhere and launch. So either you can create a new key pair or choose existing. So I'm choosing the existing key pair which I have. We are not able to copy the text. Not sure, Gagan, on that. Okay. So this takes little time. Gagan can simply Google and just find these steps. Just write, how do you install HTTPD? On a Linux instance, you'll find same steps. Let's give it a few minutes before we get 2x2s as a health check. Yep. Okay. Meanwhile, let's go ahead and create our load balancer. Okay. So yeah, go to load balancer. Yeah. Create load balancer. What kind of a load balancer we are going to create? Application load balancer. Yeah. You can say my ELB demo 1. It's internet facing. Okay. Associated with default VPC, and we are mapping it with 2 availability zone. Yeah, you can create a new security group for it, and in that security group will enable port 80. Okay, we are associating with this VPC and ELB is being accessed by the client, right? So yeah, let's add a inbound rule. Anywhere. Okay. Yeah. This was my ELBSG. Okay. Okay. Now the target group. Gagan and Sonia, if you would have followed my previous session, you'll understand what actually I'm trying to do. Okay. If you want, I can quickly give you a refresher of load balancer. Just a minute. What actually we are doing? Yeah. So we are trying to remember originally when we used to create load balancer, what we used to do, right? We had listeners, which is kind of a rule here. I'm just opening port 80, and then we used to create a target group. And to this target group, we used to associate EC2 instance. But today we are not going to associate any EC2 instance with this target group. Okay. Yeah, this is done. Target group is also created by, am I not able to see this? Okay. Yeah, so we are creating a target group. Target name is my TG ELB. Yeah, default VPC health check, right? If you can play with this settings as well if you want, right? Next. Yeah, see, we are not associating any target to this target group of load balancer. Why? Because we are going to associate this target with auto scaling group. Okay. Yeah. So now if I go here, refresh. Yeah, we have a listener here. Done. Okay, so we've created two steps, right? We've created a EC2 instance from which we are going to create a AMI. And second, what we did, we created an application load balancer. And then we open port 80 on that application load balancer. Also, we associated a target group with it. And what is so special about that target group? For now, it is not associated with any instance or IP address. Okay, it's empty. Yeah. Let's go and see what is the condition of our EC2 instance which we had created. Yeah. Okay. So before I go ahead and create AMI, let's see if all the setup is done. Okay. Yeah. So we are able to see this message. How we are able to see that message? Remember, in user data, we did few steps, right? We installed the HTTPD server, and then in the index.html, we added this as a text. Okay. Now what I'll do, I'll go ahead and create image of this instance, right? Create image. My first demo img. Okay. Yeah. So let's see, where is my AMI? Yeah, so this is getting created. Let me just write TTC AMI. Okay, yeah, let it become available. Yeah, and parallelly, what we'll do, we'll go ahead and delete this EC2 instance. Now we don't want that EC2 instance, right? So are you guys able to follow along? We've just done two steps, right? Creating a EC2 instance with the basic setting. From that EC2 instance, we've created a AMI, right? And parallelly, what we did, we created your load balancer, okay, and the target group. Yeah, let it become available. Then we'll move to the next step. Yeah, it's taking some time. And just one small thing, like amount of time it takes to create AMI depends upon what is your original state of EC2. By original state, as in how many softwares you have installed, what kind of updates you have done. Okay, so based on that, this time is related. Though I already have a similar image with me, but it's good we do it from scratch. Yeah, let's give it some more minute. Yeah, so this is our final step, right? Yeah, so see, when we'll go ahead and create our auto scaling group, in the security group, we'll say source should be ELB, right? So how do we associate that the source for this should be ELBs? We'll add the CIDR range for VPC. Okay, so that any request coming with the IP address with the range which is mentioned in VPC CIDR, we should be able to access. You can do it by two ways. One is either associating the security group of ELB or adding the CIDR range for the VPC. Okay. Yeah, let's see, where is it? It's taking a lot of time. Yeah, okay. So see guys, see this part very carefully. I am deleting the original EC2 instance, right? Okay. Yeah. So let's go ahead and perform our final step, which is creating the auto scaling group. Okay. So for that, first we need to create our launch configuration. So what we mean by launch configuration, we are telling what kind of instance or service we want with respect to the auto scaling group. Okay. So we'll go ahead and create launch configuration. We'll name it as my LC. Okay. AMI. So you'll get your AMI plus AMI from the marketplace, or the AMIs which you see in your Amazon management console. Okay, so we'll be doing another exercise with that AMI. For now, we're going to select our own AMI. Right? So what is going to be the instance type? Same, T2 micro. And guys, whatever we are doing today, you'll be charged for it. The charge would be very minimal. So we have to ensure that we delete and clear out everything once we are done with the demo. Okay. Yeah. All these are additional configuration. We don't require nothing here. And security group, let's name it ASG demo 1. Yeah, and we'll open port 80. Okay. Two things we have to do, right? First is we are saying we'll allow HTTP traffic, right? And what would be the source? Remember guys, what we have to add in the source? The CIDR range for my default VPC, right? So let's see what is the CIDR range for my default VPC. How can I find that? there would be something called as my, okay, never mind, VPC. Yeah, yeah, so this one is my default. Okay. Gagan, we have a session around that. So if you'll go to the playlist, there would be a topic with name as AWS networking. So there I have explained in detail, but for you quickly, if I want to explain, it's like you are setting up your own private cloud. Okay. So what do we mean by setting your own private cloud, right? Remember when you do a on-premises setup, so you assign IP addresses for all the devices which you have, right, in your on-prem data center. So this is what you're doing, right? So all the instances, right, which you are going to create in this VPC, their IP range would be something like this 172 dot. So this tells you 6-16 means out of this octet, if you see these two octets, they are for your host ID, right? So what exactly we mean by host ID? Maybe there are multiple organization, right? And we want to find out each organization would have their host ID, right, which is like which you identify uniquely. Okay, so if we are getting a request which has IP address as 172.31, and there's another which has address as, say, I'm just making it up, 173.32, so your router would know, okay, where exactly I need to send it. Do I need to send this to organization A or organization B? After that, the last two octet which you see, okay, they tell you about your IP address of individual devices which are attached. Okay, so for example, something like this. Yeah, let me stop sharing. Yeah, so now, yeah, this has range of, okay, so anything inside this would have their IP address starting I'm sorry, with something like this 172.31. This would be fixed. Rest, it could be this dot 31.255.255. So you can attach this much devices, right, or these many services in your VPC. Okay, rest in detail you can check on our playlist. Yeah, or you can connect with me or anybody in our group, TTC group, if you want more detail. Okay. Yeah. Just quick confirmation. Can you see the management console? Or you're still seeing that paint? Okay. Yeah. So where were we? Yeah, we were into the launch configuration of our auto scaling group. Okay. Yeah, it's okay. We don't want to connect with that machine. Okay. Now here again, you can create a key pair or choose existing. So I'll choose existing. Yeah. Yes, our final step, the auto scaling group. Here we'll tell about the instances. What is my desired instance? What is the minimum instance I want? What is my see, with launch configuration, you're telling what is that you want, right? But with auto scaling group, you're specifying your minimum instances you want, desired instances, maximum instance, and on what basis you want auto scaling to scale in or scale out. Okay. Switch to launch configuration. Okay, next. Yeah. Remember, we have to associate this with multiple availability zone. Remember our diagram here? Here, our auto scaling group is associated with 2 availability zone, right? Next, see, this is the part. Now, what do you want to do? You want to attach your auto scaling group with the load balance with existing load balancer or no load balancer, or right, or you want to create a new, right? So we'll select our existing one. What is the name of the target group? Remember, we had created this target group in the application load balancer. Okay, health check. Yeah, so you can rely on the health check which ELB does. Remember, there would be a health check, right? Whenever there is a traffic, there would be health check done. Based on the health check, your ELB transfers the traffic to the target group, right? So you can rely with the health check of ELB also, right? Next, yeah. So let me say my desired is 1, minimum is 1, and maximum is say 2. Or let me say maximum is 2. Desired is also 2. Any scaling policy you want want to associate? No, we don't want to associate any scaling policy. Yeah, it auto scale. ELB does, Kagan. Remember this diagram here. Yeah, let's see. Is it up now? See, you are getting 2 instances ready. Why? Because desired instances which we set, sorry, we set up 3 things: desired, minimum, and maximum. So desired was 2, hence you got 2 instances which are up and running. Now what I'll do, I'll manually go ahead and terminate 2 of them. So you'll see auto scaling would come in picture and you'll have another instance, right? But let's wait for this to come up. Okay, see, 1 is up, right? So let's pick the DNS of our load balancer and see. Yeah, okay. And you'll see the health check part which you were asking, Gagan, see, till the time your second server is not up, right? All the traffic would be going to your first server only, right? And how this is being taken care with the help of the health check, right? See, this is taking time to come up. Where is my EC2 instance? Oops. Yeah. Now let me go ahead and delete this. Okay. Just a minute. Yeah, again, see, still you are able to access this. Huh? After few seconds, a new instance would start creating. You can see from here. Yeah, right now these two are in service. Oh, one, okay, maybe there's some cooling time I would have given, that's why it's taking time. Yeah, this single instance only. Who is it? Because I've given, yeah. See, another instance have started to come up. Okay. So this is how your ELB and your auto scaling group, they are working. Okay. Were you guys able to do this? Okay, let's move to, you couldn't copy the code. Okay. Okay, guys, let me just quickly give you what we can do in our second lab. Okay, and you can practice on your own. So that would be a good practice and refresher for you all, right? So what is my second lab? Again, I'm doing a combination of auto scaling with a load balancer, but this time just a small change, which is I'm not going to create any AMI, right? I'll use the existing AMI. Okay, and then we will set up auto scaling with a certain CPU limit. So you can do 20 or you can do 5, right? If for the demo purpose, lower this number. Okay. So what would change, right? See, this step is same. You'll create application load balancer with target group, but you won't associate any instance, right? Then you'll create an auto scaling group with the configuration. Only changes where exactly you'll provide this user data, right? So I'll show you that part. So for that, first what we have to do, we have to copy the AMI of any of the existing free tier EC2 instance. Okay, for that what we can do is, yeah, see, we'll copy this. Okay. I'm just adding this in chat. Launch configuration, create launch configuration. Okay, and just copy paste the AMI. Okay, again same step, you are choosing an instance type t2.micro. Okay, and all those user data stuff, where are you going to provide it? Under additional advanced detail. Okay, so you see this section, user data. Here is where you'll add all those prerequisites which you want your instance should have. Okay, and IP address type, this is very important to understand. For now we are assigning the public IP address to the instance which is launched, but if we want that nobody can access your EC2 instance, only your elastic load balancer is able to access your EC2 instance, then you'll say don't assign the public IP address, right? So if a machine is not having a public IP address, you can't access it. So in production setup, again, you choose option like these, right? Yeah, so you'll add that user data. Okay, and another change which you have to do is, apart from this, let me just tell you. So next session, when you guys come, I want to see whether you were able to do it or not. So the first part, you remember what you have to do. The second is, let me just tell you about the policies, right? How do you associate a policy? So SG demo 2, switch to launch configuration. Let me take the default one which I had created. Next, you'll associate multiple availability zone. Yeah, all this is fine. I want to come to that. Here is the place. See, before that, we didn't associate any rule. It was just what is the minimum I want, what is the maximum I want. This is the place where you can add your scaling policy. So you can select your average CPU utilization to be, say, 5%. Okay. So whenever you'll see that your CPU utilization for instance is going above 5, a new instance would be launched, right? And how can you replicate that? So you can log into your EC2 instance, right? For this exercise, you have to open port 22 because you want to do SSH, right? And run some command which would ensure that your CPU utilization goes above 5%, right? So there's one command which I found. Okay, or since Gagan is not able to access the command, let me give you. Yeah, so there are some packages which you can install. Stress is one of the package. You can install that, and then using that you can get a desired CPU usage in your system. I would have written it somewhere. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So try using this command to get that desired state of more than 5% CPU utilization. Okay. Any question, guys, for today's session? Let me just in the chat write the assignment for you all with the steps.
No questions yet, Jyoti.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm just writing the assignment, Rajesh, for the team.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is what you guys have to do and see if it works for you or not. Okay. Yeah, Brijesh, that's it from my end for today.
Thank you, Jyoti. Thank you for another very useful session. The homework is going to be a little interesting, so I'm looking forward to doing it. I expect a ping from me anytime. I may need help, but yeah, this is good exercise. Looking forward to the next session because I think the next session carries a lot of additional details from this one.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you so much for your time. Thank you, Sonia. Thank you, Gagan, for joining. Wish you all happy rest of the weekend, and see you next week.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.